I feel like I have a lot of homework from both of you guys that like I need to get into all of the music by these two artists. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time in the next week to do that, but I'll be doing it for sure. This has been a treat. Hello and welcome to Listen In, a music sharing podcast where we feature songs by lesser known and underappreciated artists that we think are pretty dang good. Today, we will be listening to a funky, in more ways than one, upbeat reemergence that will make you feel heard and get you dancing, a passionate ballad with vintage soul coursing through it, and a funky slow jam that will make you laugh and get you in the mood. I'm already seeing a through line here. I'm Jesse, more on that later.
I'm Kay.
And I'm Alexis, and I need an atlas for our long distance stuff.
And today, we will be doing another themed episode, and the theme is me. It's my birthday-ish. But before we get to opening my sonically formatted presents, what have y'all been listening to?
Look at you having a birthday.
I know.
First of all of our stuff is long distance stuff, Alexis, you forget.
Yeah, that's why I need the help. I need the reminder. I need the atlas.
I've been listening to new releases from artists who I've brought to the pod in the past, actually. Anna Mori, who was featured in episode 3, released another single from her upcoming album. The song is called King of the Night and has a lot more EDM influence than we've seen from her in the past, but it still keeps that signature style of hers. And it is honestly a weird dance pop masterpiece. Also, Sanjana, featured in episode 7, released her first single in 2 years. It's titled Never Losing, and it's a gorgeous piece of indie pop featuring Sanjana's clear vocals. I think y'all will really like both of these.
I have been listening to new music as well. Lately, I've been coming back to the recently released Regina Spektor album. A friend of mine is a huge fan of hers. Can't stop talking about her. And I've been diving into her music a little bit more deeply and have been really enjoying this new album. It sounds very 2000s singer-songwriter-y, kind of folk and Baroque folk, I would say. And it's full of like just these really sweeping ballads that are like 6 to 8 minutes, kind of progressive in a way, but they really reward you with just gorgeous melodies. It is just so epic. So yeah, I would say check that out if that sounds interesting.
I have been listening to a bit of Bruno Major for silly reasons. I've been thinking of getting back into like the dating scene post-COVID, and I recently found out that Tinder has a Spotify feature where you can like put the songs on it. I've never used Tinder before. I've used other stuff. But yeah, Bruno Major's soft ballady vocals and like jazzy guitar just seems like a good fit for a silly romantic like myself. I'm excited for today. I'm jazzed about it, as I was mentioning.
I'm extremely excited for this, and to hear that you're also excited, I feel like there's a little bit of osmosis going on here. I really hope that's the proper biological term here that's going on. But yeah.
The proper biological term.
You know what I mean.
Excitement is a form of water, yes.
There we go.
All right, but I think Kay's up first.
The artist I'm sharing today is maybe a bit more popular and well-known than I would normally bring to the podcast, but I really think that this gem deserves to be brought to an even wider audience. To be completely honest, this song is what inspired the idea to do birthday episodes. I really wanted the opportunity to introduce it to listeners and to y'all, especially to Jesse, who I really hope you'll like this song. Back in episode 5, you'll recall listening to a song by the Korean-American artist Chai, who was a contestant on K-Pop Star and who had signed for a bit with the entertainment agency Antenna. Today's artist, Sam Kim, is another K-Pop Star alumnus. He was a runner-up on Season 3 in 2014 and is a current Antenna music artist. Sam grew up just outside of Seattle, Washington, before moving to South Korea at age 15 to participate in K-Pop Star, where he wowed the judges with his self-taught guitar skills, arrangement abilities, and his smooth, groovy vocals. He signed with Antenna Music, an indie label owned and run by a judge on the show, and has been there since. In March 2016, 2 years after the conclusion of K-Pop Star, Sam released his debut EP, My Name is Sam. Another 2.5 years later, Sam released a full album titled Sun and Moon, and then he fell into a bit of a musical slump, releasing only a couple of singles and OSTs since that November 2018 release. The song we'll listen to today, titled The Juice, is Sam's reemergence from this slump in June 2021. Sam and Swedish producer Simon Petrin wrote The Juice in March 2019, but Sam's slump at the time left him lacking confidence in anything he wrote. It wasn't until he listened back 2 years later that Sam realized the potential in this song and called Simon up to finish the masterpiece. Sam said he wanted to come back with a bang with The Juice, so although you'll hear a good bit of Sam's guitar excellence in this song, it's surrounded by quite a bit more production than you'll hear in much of Sam's previous music. Despite the high-energy production, the lyrics of this song describe how Sam was feeling in his slump, tired, worn out, and lacking confidence. He isn't using juice in the same way that Lizzo does. He uses it to refer to how much energy he has, like when someone says a battery is running out of juice. It's an interesting juxtaposition with the production, which is a bit more like the Energizer Bunny. You'll hear what I mean soon. Let's listen to The Juice by Sam Kim. And Jesse, I really hope you like this one.
I just had it. I just got it, man. I just had it. Damn. 내가 좀 변했대. Okay, yeah. 솔직히 말할게. Cause I think about it. 사랑에 빠진 얘가 또 아냐. But I think about it one night. 요새 잘 듣는 만화 왜 이래. 무슨 바람이 불었는지 don't you say that. I gotta get away, blah blah. Oh. Got me going crazy, got me going crazy, got me going crazy. 도망가고 싶어, take me all my juice. I never wanna hold you back, don't lean on me. 뒤처지는 내 모습, I'm singing blues. 잘 지내, 난 똑같이 쌓여가는 red message. 사라질 때까지 don't run away. So they tell me, Sam, yeah, we understand. Okay, yeah. I'm sick of hearing all the things that people had to say. Like we love you, man. Okay, yeah. Leave me be for just one night. 맘대로 할 시간 흐르는 대로 그냥 내버려두게 도망. 치고 싶어도 도망. 가림이 없는 실망. 시키는 shake it, dopey. Yeah, you wanna survive. Yeah, you wanna just stay. Yeah, you wanna survive. And you can't run away. Got me going crazy now. Got me going crazy now. Got me going crazy now. 도망가고 싶어, take me all my juice. I never wanna hold you back, don't lean on me. 뒤처지는 내 모습, I'm singing blues. 잘 지내, 난 똑같이 쌓여가는 red message. 사라질 때까지 don't run away. So what's the use? Oh no, 장난치다 이렇게 끝나겠어. Oh no, 답 없어, no, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Got me going crazy, take me all my juice. 완벽하게 못하는 걸 어쩌겠니? 지쳐가는 내 모습, I'm sick of you. 잘 지내, I love the love. 이렇게만 살고 싶어. I'm taking all my juice. What's the juice? And she wanna see me make it. And she wanna see me make it. And she wanna see all my juice. Hey, I got good looks and I look clean. Don't you look back and don't you mind me. What's the use? What's the juice? Oh, I just had it. I just had it. Oh, for real?
Okay. Okay. First of all, what made you think that I would like this song?
Everything.
Because you were right.
Yay!
It's so good. So good. Okay. I'm gonna try not to just like gush all the words, but like the summation is that rather than just having vigorous brain movements, I was actually dancing in my chair, which is not something I always do, even for songs that I
That
really
is
like.
an accomplishment.
Yes.
Wow.
Vigorous me movements.
I'm really glad you liked it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Full disclosure here, like please pardon me for like being like I'll probably be very scatterbrained here because I'll be honest, while I was listening, my notes couldn't keep up. This song was just like left and right blowing me away. I was just completely floored by like all the musicality that was exuding from Sam. Also the musicality within the production of the song and the songwriting, like everything about this. It's insane how incredible it is.
It was just like a visceral treat to listen to with all the production going on. There were like these 3D effects where sounds were going on like all around me, the claps and the swelling strings and I almost feel like it was two different songs where we had like the opening verse going on and I was already like, yeah, this is good. I like it. Like I'm hitting the like button and then the chorus hits and it's just like boom. And it just like blew me away. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of some of Jamiroquai's music. He's one of my favorite artists like ever.
To dive a little bit more into the production on this song, if you're curious, there's a really, really great interview with a YouTube channel called React to the K. So there actually is an interview where Umu from React to the K sits down with Sam Kim and Simon Petrin, and both of them wrote and produced this song together. And they talk about all of the little things, and they'll isolate things out in the production so you can hear it more clearly and talk about how they decided to put things in, where they decided to put them, or how the song evolved over time. It's about 30 minutes long, but it is just super fun to hear them talk about the process that they went through to make this song.
30 minutes might not be long enough for this song, honestly. His voice is just like spot on for this style too. Just sounds rich and resonant, and then like the falsetto that he does is just like so clean and perfect.
I think it's interesting you mentioned the falsetto because in that interview, Sam talks about singing those high pitch, and he's always felt like he struggled with his range in singing.
That's actually something that I noted down on my notes. I was really loving the versatility in his voice, how like there's like these kind of like talky rap verse sort of things, and then how he would just switch and accent that section of the song with that really just pretty falsetto, his singing voice as well, just in the choruses. I really like his voice. And hey, Sam, look at me. I'm talking to you right now. You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing because it's amazing. So keep it up.
We'll make sure to send that voice clip directly to Sam. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, the lyrics I found also very relatable too. I'm very introverted. What I was reading from the lyrics were like, you know, not having a lot of energy for social interactions, but if you're put on the spot and like you have to show up and turn it on, you kind of can.
I think one thing I like about the lyrics themselves is that it seems to go through a progression of coming out of his slump as the song goes on. I don't know if that was intentional when it was written, but I think that if you happen to watch the music video, it sort of shows that too. By the end of the music video, he's in the middle of the dancers dancing with like a lot of swagger, which is fun, but it also kind of shows like he starts the song out without a lot of confidence and kind of saying like, don't worry about me, don't let me hold you back. And then by the end, it's like, no, you know what? I can't be perfect, but I'm going to be who I am and don't mind me. I'm just going to keep going and do my thing.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that he has this song that kind of encapsulates that episode in his life. The fact that this song is, you know, something that you can put on and like really vibe to just for the song itself, but then also you get this personal story at the same time. I think it's really cool. It's amazing.
There's also a lot of moments of text painting or like sound text painting. And then I really, really enjoyed the bridge. That was one of
Yeah.
my favorite parts of this song. Get that like deep sub bass going in. I'm not a bass head, but like this is the sort of song that makes me understand why some people are bass heads. It's just like that felt good to listen to.
Yeah, I think the two parts that really stood out to me, and it's like really hard for me to really say which one I like more. There's this moment where there's like this sort of like somewhat of a like instrumental break, but he's like still singing over it. There's like this weird just jam break. It feels like nothing in the song like really sets you up for that moment, so it blew me away, and it's really fun and kind of funky. But also that bridge as well, like that bridge is insane. There's so much things happening, like sonically, so much things happening, and those two parts I think to me are like the ones that stand out the most to me and are extremely impressive.
I definitely also really love that like weird touch of instrumental break. That's my funky in other ways from our intro. That it's the song's just a little weird.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for bringing this one in. What else can we find about Sam Kim? Because I definitely want to find more.
You can find a lot about Sam Kim. You can find about 4 hours of music from Sam Kim. His music is available on all platforms. He is on socials, which we'll link in the description as always. And I don't really have a good starting point for his music because it's all so good. I don't know. Choose a spot and start. What's up next?
Alexis.
Kay has been knocking it out of the park lately, and I'm feeling a little bit of pressure with the song that I'm bringing up. Hopefully I can not only follow up with a good song, but also a good song for Jesse's birthday. The artist I'm bringing today is Paolo Nutini. Who is Paolo Nutini, you ask? Is he an Italian football player? That's football as in soccer. A fashion designer? Harry Potter character? Well, if you said Scottish singer-songwriter with 4 albums under his belt from Paisley, Renfrewshire in central lowlands of Scotland, then what am I doing here? You should be the one doing this intro. It was only 2 episodes ago where I brought Sophie onto the show, and here I am already coming back to Scotland. It's a land of some very wonderful musicians, and I hope to introduce to you some more great music coming from that part of the world. Paolo released his first albums at the young age of 20 in 2007, and the album that came out before this one was in 2014. So it's been 8 years. 8 years since Paolo has given the world a follow-up to his 2014 album. Paolo returns to us with a new album released just about a week ago at the time of this recording, and this was my introduction to his music. Had no prior knowledge of who he was and what his music was about, and I was in love immediately. The album, Last Night in the Bittersweet, is a collection of passionate singer-songwriter songs that can stand toe-to-toe with the songwriting greats of generations past. Think Van Morrison, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell. But Paolo's sound also embodies such a massive presence where he has songs that conjure up a fiery rock and roll spirit that feels and sounds huge and confident. Paolo dances seamlessly in these 2 lanes of tender intimacy of singer-songwriter ballad tradition and the raw intensity of rock and roll. I know just how much you love the classic sounds of soul, rock, and folk, Jesse, and Paolo has all of this with such charm and charisma all over Last Night in the Bittersweet. We'll be listening to the song Everywhere, which is placed smack dab in the middle. Let's have a listen to Paolo with Everywhere from Last Night in the Bittersweet. Enjoy.
Over my body, under my skin, I can feel you creeping in. I can feel you slowing down and moving around. You held my body in your control, when my body was breaking down, but my body It's coming round to its senses. Now I believe you. That's alright, just a closer walk beside your lonely water. Screaming Moses, that's alright. And I love you like a song, yes, I love you. And without you I wonder as you dream your dream tonight. Let tomorrow look me right in the eye. Oh, now they need somebody to steal away with somebody, while the rivers are many, we don't clear to the sea. And I love you like a song, yes, I love you. And without you I wonder, oh, I love you. It feels like you're everywhere. Sometimes it feels like you're everywhere. I love right or wrong, yes, I love you. And without you I wonder. Sometimes it feels like you're everywhere. Sometimes it feels like you're
All right. So A little bit of context here. Before the show, I was having a dilemma, and Jesse providing a philosophical nugget to me helped me decide on the song to bring today. So, Jesse has a bit of a hand here. So, Jesse, how we feeling?
I just want to translate that really quickly. I think you said, Jesse, if you don't like it, it's your fault.
Well, I chose correctly, apparently.
Okay.
not knowing the other song at all, but this was really great. I definitely feel seen.
Cool.
It's got so many elements from like all these different genres that I love and appreciate, and it does them in, I think, a stunning homage to all of those sources, and it's a great song. Again, this is something I feel like I could just like word vomit and talk about for a while, but
Quite a staggering song, I would say.
To me, this song was a bit like a snowball rolling downhill, where like it starts out real small, but once it starts getting bigger, it really starts getting bigger and does not stop until it ends.
Yeah.
It's like at the very end, the snowball crashes into something and falls apart, but when it couldn't get any bigger, you expect it to come to a peak at any moment, and it almost just doesn't until it's over.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool listening experience.
it was huge at the end, and there was
Yeah.
just so much energy. What's also really cool is just the journey that we go on with genres. At the very beginning, it's very folky. He has that sort of talky sounding singing. It reminded me a lot of Bob Dylan, which I really love Bob Dylan. And then you bring in the organ, and it's like, oh, this is like getting a little more like gospel soul-y. And then you get more drums coming in, and that like 50s, 60s R&B rock and roll beat happening, and like the organ builds, and then he gets those like extended high notes with all that distortion and vibrato, and it reminded me a lot of Brittany Howard, who I brought in before, but just like the raw passion in his voice when he gets to those high notes is so good.
I've listened to the song like countless times in the past week, and I'm very familiar with it, and it still surprises me just how like massive it gets. I had planned for months now an artist for this episode, and I was like, yeah, I think Jesse will like this artist. And then I heard this album, and I was like, wait a second, I think Jesse would like this. And then I was like, oh, I have to listen to this again and put on my Jesse glasses and see which song, you know, would be appropriate for the show. And it was a last minute choice, but I'm glad that I brought it, because I feel like Paolo just has like this, you know, way of telling a story emotionally.
Yeah, the lyrics were great too. It's a love song, and it fits as a love song, and it's without being overly saccharine or cheesy. It just feels like, along with the way it's delivered in the music, just feels very earnest and very open, which I really appreciate.
And I do feel like his poetic side is definitely a lot more on display on other songs. I do believe like his other songs do show it a lot more strongly.
One thing that really surprised me was not really the build in the song itself, the instruments, the production. It was the build in his voice. Like, I had forgotten how clear he started, like with a clear tone. By the time we got to the end, where he had such heavy rasp and emotion and presence. But I thought it was cool that at the start of the song, they gave that different tone still a lot of presence by just putting so much reverb on it. It made the build even more enjoyable, I think, because it didn't feel out of place to build as big as it did when you basically started in a cavern.
Yeah.
One of like the memorable things from my first listening of this album was actually his voice, in that I did not realize he was Scottish until the last song, where it's kind of like this folky ballad, and I was like, wait, has this guy been Scottish the entire time?
He just became Scottish for the last song.
Yeah. His voice has like all these, you know, different tones and different colors. I never felt like I was kind of just like, all right, this is Paolo. He sounds very different on a lot of different songs, which is a really appealing thing.
But yeah, this is really cool. anything else you'd recommend from Paolo?
Honestly, like I really just can't recommend this album as a whole enough. There really isn't a moment on the album that I'm like not in love with. Check out Last Night in the Bittersweet if you're interested, and also check out Paolo's socials and things like that. Say hello to him and let him know that you're digging his stuff. But yeah, I would say you can't really go wrong with anything from the latest album. There's like something for everyone.
Well, it's my turn to give back, I suppose, in a way, or at least be self-indulgent for a moment. Stephen Lee Brunner, better known as stage name Thundercat, is an American bass guitarist, singer, songwriter, and actor from Los Angeles. Within the music industry, he is known as a genius virtuoso of the bass guitar. He has collabs with Kendrick Lamar, Silk Sonic, and Childish Gambino, has performed with Ariana Grande, was interviewed on Hot Ones, had a minor acting role in live-action Star Wars show Book of Boba Fett, and has won 2 Grammys, one of which is for Best Progressive R&B Album in 2021 for It Is What It Is. Musically, Thundercat is somewhat genre-defying. His songs combine funk, R&B, soul, electronica, and acid jazz. What really draws me to Thundercat's music is that in a lot of his songs, there's a comedy, but also an earnestness about his own awkward nerdiness that I can really identify with. I feel like he's a guy I would enjoy hanging out with playing D&D or talking about anime and comic books, but also I find his music to be absolutely brilliant, engaging, and occasionally hilarious, much like the song I am sharing today, Dragonball Durag, which also is one of my all-time favorite music videos. Let's take a listen.
I feel kind of fly standing next to you, baby girl. How do I look in my Durag? Would you tell me the truth? Stay with me and love me through the night, endlessly. I'ma keep on my chains when I'm making love to you. Hold me close and let me squeeze you tight through the night. But baby girl, how do I look in my Durag? Would you tell me the truth? Do you like my new whip? Watch me go zoom, zoom. Baby girl, how do I look in my Durag? Would you lie the truth? Stay with me and love me through the night, endlessly. I just wanna know how you feel. Tell me, am I doing it right? I may be covered in cat hair, but I still smell good. Baby, let me know, how do I look in my Durag? Don't lie to me, let me rock you all night long. I'm trying to impress you, girl. Let me know, how do I look in my Durag? I'm trying to get intimate. Let me love you like you've never been before, baby. You don't have to like my video games or my comic books, but baby girl, how do I look in my Durag? Did I tie it right? Did you wear that dress just for me? 'Cause I'm trying to smash, baby girl, I'ma smash in my Durag, 'cause it's only right. Do you like the way my ice drips in the light? Baby girl, do you like me in my Durag? Let me know. Would you let me know? Let me know, girl. Let's make love until we fall asleep. I like the way you feel next to me. Baby, you look so good in this moonlight. Stay with me and love me through the night, baby. Let's make love until we fall asleep.
So, do you like the way my ice drips?
So after listening to this song, I will say the whole Tinder Spotify feature is sounding a whole lot more enticing.
It's the perfect song.
Only I don't wear do-rags, so I guess I'll have to get one.
It's more of like the vibe though, you know.
Yeah.
It's about the personality that is being reflected in the song. I think right from the very beginning, this song is such a attention grabber. Literally, the very first seconds, it starts off with like this really massive bass sound, like the electric bass. It's this really huge and fat sound, and just immediately with this really funky lick at the very start. It's like going at its speed, and you are just on for the ride from the very beginning.
From the get-go, it's wham, it's in your face with all these like really powerful sounding noises. One thing that I found really interesting that I hadn't actually noticed until this listen through was that his voice for all the solo singing, it was like center and left and right, even in such a way that it sounded to me like the high parts of his voice, like those frequencies, were more left and right, and like the lower parts were in the center. Made it more of that like psychedelic, weird, like I don't know what space I'm in sort of feeling.
I'm not gonna lie, by about halfway through my first listen, I forgot to listen to his voice because I was so swept up in those crunchy 8-bit chords that were going on in the background and in the bass line, and like kind of forgot I was supposed to be paying attention to anything else. But I really enjoyed them.
What was there a bit of like a chiptune sort of thing going on? I must have missed it. Oh my goodness.
At the start, it sounded more like a piano sound, or maybe like an electric piano sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then it definitely gets very chiptune-y, 8-bitty, video game referencey. But playing those sounds as though they were like a keyboard.
Dang, I missed out. I think with the persona that it's trying to portray here, with like references to like Dragon Ball and comics and things like that, having chiptune sounds is like an obvious thing to include in something like this.
I've heard this a ton of times and I never associated chiptune with it. Like I thought that was just kind of the effect they chose for the keys there. It almost sounds like a harpsichord sort of setting.
It sounds to me like the Pokemon Color soundtrack sound.
Yeah, I'll have to re-listen to get that. Something I really love, he inserts these like phaser, like spaceship noises every once in a while. Like, for example, immediately after saying, "Do you like my new whip? Watch me go zoom zoom," and then it's.
When I heard him say, "Watch me go zoom zoom," I was like, that is so charming. I want to start just saying that out of nowhere, out of context now. I think my favorite thing about this song is really just the playfulness, like the personality that he's presenting. It feels so authentic, so real, so relatable. I like the way that he's like describing the situation, and like we get a good idea of like who he is. The way he kind of just like puts emphasis on the word durag. Would you tell me the truth? Like, I really want to know. I just really love like the candid openness. Like, I'm trying to get intimate. It's like, yeah, we know. It feels so down to earth the way that he's presenting it. He's just being who he is, and not trying to like obfuscate it in any sort of bravado or anything. It's like, this is it. and it's really charming.
Yeah, something I really love is how this song fits in like a very strange place. It is both a very accurate and faithful representation of that romantic slow jam, maybe like a Barry White sort of song, but also a parody given the lyrics. He's parodying it by portraying a character or a caricature of himself, but like that doesn't seem like an inaccurate representation either.
He said in an interview that's referenced on Genius that he has an entire Dragon Ball wardrobe, and that, quote, "In a second, I'm going to completely transmit to another world and be Piccolo and do some hyperbolic time training. Don't know where yet."
So good.
Yeah.
No, I love that, like, silly, like, it's kind of silly, but done incredibly technically well. and very complex at the same time. Like nothing was spared in making this.
Yeah, I actually really, really enjoy the silliness, and I kind of, in a way, kind of identify sort of like the spirit behind it as well. It reminds me of like a lot of like the spirit behind like the songs that I wanted to write when I was younger with my friends, of just about like all these silly things. Like I remember there was a song that I wanted to write called Sugar Shoes, which this actually has a bit of lore behind it, in that I accidentally called my friends really cool shoes sugar shoes when I was just trying to say they were sweet shoes. My friends never let it down for me and kept referencing it. And then I was like, you know what? I should write that into a song maybe one day. And it was about like the absurdity of like, what if sugar shoes really did exist and sugar shoes were like the coolest thing ever? And I think that's like one of the things that I think I really, really enjoyed. I felt like I could identify a little bit of myself within, you know, his art and his music, despite how complex it is. There's this very down-to-earth thing to it.
I did laugh out loud at "I may be covered in cat hair, but I still smell good."
Yeah,
That's my favorite lyric for sure.
It's a really good one.
And also I highly recommend watching the music video if you haven't already. It's really funny. If you want to listen to more Thundercat, he's been really prolific recently. As I mentioned earlier, his most recent album got a Grammy. He's had a lot of features on other artists' works. It's not all silliness. There is some emotional depth that happens in his other work as well. So it's not all going to be comedy, but it is at least like very rich and dense musically and lyrically. Great stuff to check out.
Happy birthday, Jesse. Should we sing for you?
I mean, if you really want to.
Let's make it as awful as possible. Are you ready, Alexis?
yes.
3,
Two,
2,
one.
1.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Continue. You're on your own.
Dear Jesse.
Jesse!
Happy birthday to you.
Thanks for listening.
As always, all of the social media links, etc., for ourselves and for the artist, we promise to never sing like that again, at least until the next birthday episode.
Which is next week.
Which is next week, are in the description on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you for listening. Check out the artists and us and tell all of us how great they are. That wasn't English, but you get the point.
And Jesse. Tell Jesse how great he is for his birthday.
Tell Jesse how great he is.
Oh God, compliments make me uncomfortable.
Tell Jesse how great he is to make him uncomfortable. Tell him if you like him in his Dragonball.
I do have a couple of Dragon Ball hoodies.
You better
That
wear
works.
them.